maybe we start with the ancient deities stuff and kind of peel that back and how it relates to today. Like, where do we start for those who don't know even what you're talking about? Where do we
Well,
where do we go?
just so everyone is clear, if you follow today's culture, this modern society, you are worshiping deities in a way by the
Mm,
clothes you wear, the songs you sing, the words you say, and you don't even know it.
right. You're like
It's
taking
all
part,
ancient occultism
and you're like inadvertently taking part of this behavior, right?
of a mass ritual,
Right.
basically.
So can you like walk us through an example of that, or like one maybe one now and one from back then?
Well, you had, I think you had Thomas on a couple episodes ago, and y'all
Yep.
talked about the thing with, the Disney occultism and all that. And that goes into further into like the Demole and these ancient mystery schools, right?
Hmm.
And so when you look into that stuff and how our children are being indoctrinated, it's not just them, it's us too. So in these ancient stories, I started just by reading like the Book of Enoch. Then I got into the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, these two entities are described the same way. Oh, this one's name is the same as this one in this other story.
Hmm.
And then you look at the symbolism between them, and it's like, it's uncanny,
Right.
right? It's there's no really explanation. And this is the same, uh, you know, deity energy being worshipped
Right.
because people look at it and it's the macro and the microcosm, right? Everything happening here on Earth, is it happening in the heavens? Is it happening in another realm? Uh, these ancient stories, to me, I mean, they just remind me of ancient humans, you know,
Yeah.
and like learning lessons and like for instance, when you look at a lot of ancient stories and you see this, what's a good example? I'm trying to think. Um, the obelisk, that'd be
Okay.
a good one.
Yep.
With Osiris,
Yep.
this goes back to phallic symbolism. A lot of animal symbolism is also phallic as well.
Yep.
But I don't know if Osiris's penis was cut off of him,
Right.
right? I
Right.
think it's symbolic for something else.
Right. It shows up everywhere. We see it
Right.
right here
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
DC, right? So what do you make of that when you see it
Well,
like
I
in modern times?
well, you see it in modern times. I mean, these deities are rebrands of each other. So when you see all these pyramids and these obelisks being built today, it's almost in every structure. It is reminiscent of these ancient ones, kind of giving uh, worship to these. And you can call them archetypes as well. Y'all were talking about the moon. People think that the moon is could be a portal.
Yep.
And also an entity in itself.
Right. Right. Where are you
When
at
I
with the moon? Where are you at with the moon?
um I'm in between on it, man. I think either maybe it was brought here or I definitely think it's hollow,
Yeah.
but I also believe in hollow earth as well. Um, I believe that there were ancient civilizations on the moon
Mm.
a long time ago. Dude, there's a lot that I get into where I'll make assumptions of things, or I'll interpret something some certain way, and the next week I'm talking about how I may have interpreted it wrong. I think that's a problem that some people can't really get a hold on, is they can't get past that.
I
Them
think it's good.
saying
I think
I may
yeah.
have been wrong about this one thing. Um, but yeah, dude, the moon, since you brought that up, I mean, some people think that all these planetary bodies are the energies and that there are no deities,
Mm.
right?
Interesting.
Um, but one thing that really fascinated me about these stories, were the esoteric things I started finding reading the Bible And then, like I was talking about the Book of Enoch, and kind of relating those deities to these Sumerian stories and the ones in Babylon, and then Egypt and Greece and Rome, even in Mesoamerica, dude.
And you're saying like the deities, they just keep rebranding into new societies, and where we're at now is like we're not even conscious of the fact that these deities are still amongst us, these lesser gods, and people are worshiping them without knowing it.
Well, yeah, I mean the eagle, right? If you wear an eagle on something, or well, first it's representative of the ancient phoenix, right? Um, which you see the phoenix in alchemy, you see it in all sorts of these occult sciences, but it's the rebirth rituals. A lot of these mystery schools, that's what it's all about, is the rebirth of the soul. Um, but yeah, dude, like that eagle is attributed to an ancient deity. In Sumeria, it would be in Enlil. In Canaan, Phoenicia, it'd be El, right?
Yep.
Which it would be related directly to Kronos and Saturn. So, I mean, do you know what an egregore is?
Uh, yeah, I did at some point. I think I wrote about it at one point a long time ago, but refresh my memory.
Well, an egregore is basically a conscious thought form.
Okay.
So if a group of people draw something up, they worship it. Over time, it exists.
But
It exists in not just like as a physical thing, but in the celestial realm, in the astral realm. Because and if it's destroyed in one of these realms, it's destroyed actually. But a lot of things I think are egregores.
okay.
Um,
Actually, in the second book I wrote about Inverted World, it was brought up because there was a bunch of weird witches I met in Georgia, and one of them talked about it. And I didn't really, I didn't get into it too much. He had a lot of weird stuff to say. He was thinking there's such thing as good witches and bad witches, but I guess he had one, and I didn't look into it all that much. But these are things people are doing today, I guess.
yeah,
And for what?
absolutely.
And then so like what is their goal with that?
Um, well, if you have something over time, for instance, in the Catholic Church or in many forms of Christianity, the devil, I think, is an egregore. I think it was thought up and manifested into this dimension, another dimension. When especially fear is a big factor. People they fear something that they don't know, that they've never really seen or encountered, because a lot of aspects of Satan or the devil, whatever people want to call them, are just characteristics of our lower selves,
Right.
right? We have lower and higher natures to us as humans. And you can either go one way or the other. And this is explained in mystery schools as well as the left hand and the right hand path.
Can you
Black magic, white magic. People don't know that they're performing magic daily. If you pray, you're partaking in white magic,
right.
regardless of what you want to believe. Call it New Age or whatever, but this is this has been taught as far back,
So, can you explain what a mystery school was? That's something it's been brought up a few times on the show, but I'm not really I can't really pinpoint. I've heard people say, one person told me once that it was modern mystery schools where she went and saw like a portal open and a beast was brought out. Is that anything like the ancient mystery schools that you're talking about? Seriously.
I don't know if they were doing that in the ancient mystery schools, or I haven't read about it. Usually, okay, so it goes back to the Elysium mystery schools, all the the cults of Mithra, Osiris, all this stuff. Like I said, it's about rebirth, and a lot of it is attaining full enlightenment. But there's different paths you can take for that, and certain kind of whatever enlightenment you're looking for or whatever you're trying to manifest on this physical plane or within you,
Right.
you know?
And what are the, you know, what are the, can you think of stories from mystery schools where like, they're what are they pulling out of this place and why are they doing it? Is this for power over people? Is this for gaining information that they shouldn't have? Kind of like you know, biting the fruit, the forbidden fruit situation.
Oh, absolutely. That's why the mystery schools were formed, is because, you know, this information isn't for everybody. Right now, I have a little bit of a problem with it. I think it should be available to you. You know, if you would like to delve into it, I also think that you should be aligned correctly spiritually.
Right.
You know, it's a slippery slope. It could drive the strongest man insane.
It's like
right?
it's like the ring from Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. Very symbolic of that ring, dude.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all mental, right? The mental plane is outside of astral, ethereal, our physical plane. It's the highest of the planes. So that's why what you say and what you think actually matters.
Right.
You know, that's why it's called spelling and cursive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you were
But
mentioning you were mentioning stuff like etymology and the importance of etymology. So that kind of falls in with the rebranding you're talking about today, right? Where a lot of these words that we're using have a lot more power than what we think they have.
Yeah, man. For instance, Osiris, we've been talking about him. That name comes from Orion and Sirius. So you got Osiris, Osiris. This is where the word sire comes from, right? And sir.
Right.
You call it yes, sir, no, sir. It has more of a meaning to it than we know.
That's so
Also, we were talking about earlier, I think you wanted me to give you an example of this, but if you've read Genesis, how these words kind of mean something and over time are the same thing, you read that Jacob wrestles with God in Genesis 32, verse 30, I think. Not a biblical scholar.
Someone will check you right now in the comments. I'll make sure.
But you know, he wrestles with God, and he calls the place where he wrestles with him Peniel. Right?
Yep.
Now, what does that sound exactly like? Your
The part of our
pineal.
brain, right? That's
So
interesting.
did he wrestle with God? Did he wrestle with some physical entity, or did he wrestle with God, like have some kind of spiritual encounter?
Right.
And opened up his third eye.
Right.
Right?
My gut says both. Like it's literal and metaphorical.
That's
simultaneously.
Dude, Shane, yeah, no, that's how I actually look at a lot of things too. And that goes back to the like as above, so below thing. I had Micah Dank on recently to talk about astrotheology, and it blew my mind. I was like, you know, telling me that all these stories are all just symbolic of what's going on in the stars. Right. And I'm just like, they can't be true. And then then I think about it and it's like, well, both could be true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the truth usually lines up somewhere in the middle.
Yep. Yep.
And so now that's how I kind of like to look at everything. It's like with the flat earth and hollow earth. I don't want to get into any arguments, but I kind of think it may be flat and hollow.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it might be a little more pear shaped, but it's definitely not what we've been told it is.